Shalom, shalom, y'all. Servant RD here, back with another video. Words of exhortation entitled, Get Ready, Stay Ready. I had to remind myself how to do confession. I had to remind myself to not allow the cares of this life and, making money and even doing things at the assembly to veer me away from what the Father told us to do and what our brother and Messiah instructed for us to do. And so I'm just doing this video and just want to reiterate to Kohaya family, preparation, being prepared is still the order of the day. Yahya Bandale, many years ago, he taught on us being prepared. He covered that subject over and over and over. And as I look back on some of the things that he taught, I have to remind myself that's still the order of the day. With some of the things that he talked about, like Obama, and that he would be the last president. Well, Trump is the president. I know people say that Trump don't count. He doesn't count, but yes, he does. Trump, he counts. Whether he butthole or not, Trump is number 45. He was inaugurated just like the rest of them. And he have served 3.5 years, going on 4 years. And so even though he was impeached, that still doesn't make him or cancel out him not being president. He is the president. And so we have to just admit that and not try to make all kinds of wiggle room to try to, wiggle our way out of what the Father has already ordained. With that being said, Trump, this man, I tell you, 2020 has come in with a bang, this Gregorian calendar year of 2020. And as we all know, and as we all see over the news, you see that this general from Iran was killed. And then you had Trump all over the television in front of the cameras talking about, how he do it. And so we see what's going on, that the Trump, he was speaking boldly about this execution that took place. And now we see we're on the brink of war. And I looked over the news and I kind of saw where they was firing back, firing bombs in the vicinity where the troops were. And I look at some of the Iranians and the people over there in the Middle East, and some of them are calm. Yeah, of course, you have people that's rallying and chanting, but when you have the leaders speaking real calm and, collective, you have to really take note and say, wait a minute, what's going on here? And so as I look at that, I'm just reminded of New Year's Eve. My wife and I, we were about to go get something to eat, and it was in the evening, and we were driving along Highway 70, and we noticed these birds. And I know many of you have noticed the same thing. And these birds, they were just flying all in formation, and then they would alter their flight with the current, and all of them would do it together. Then they would all land on the lines, telephone lines and what have you. Then they take off and do it all over again. And my wife and I was looking at it. Everybody was driving along. This was New Year's Eve, and the sun was going down, and people were busy flying to and forth, to and fro, trying to get to the destination and get things done so they can celebrate the New Year's. But I stopped. I pulled on the side of the road, and I went up the service road, and I pulled in this lot, and I got my wife's phone because I left mine at home, and I recorded it with commentary. but I was not able to send it out. It was some kind of firewall or something that was on her phone. How iPhones, how they have their own thing, that they want their customers to do to make money or what have you. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. I just wasn't able to send it out. And these birds were flying all, and they were unusual. I've been noticing it, lately. As of late, I've been noticing these birds, and I took it as a warning. These birds are telling us, and the Father used his creation to warn us. And so I just don't feel right about what's going on with this war. I think it's going to be totally different. So I just want to encourage all of the family, to once again, get your water, get your bare necessities, get you some candles, because you just don't know. They talking about attacking, and they not going to attack, they're not going to just do combat toe to toe. And I don't even think they're going to engage in guerrilla warfare. I think they have other methods. They may do electric, or they may do something with the water. I don't know. I'm just here to just encourage the family to prepare, because preparation is still the order of the day. I'm reminded of a scripture as I look for it. I was checking out the news, and I saw how here in St. Louis, a bunch of people going down to the Cardinals game, not the Cardinals, the Blues games, and they about to go down there and have a good time. Watch those crowds. I think it's just going to be something that's totally different this time. And so I'm reminded of the scripture. It's in Luke 21:34. And it's the words of Yahshua. And he said, heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away. But watch yourselves, or your hearts will be weighed down by dissipation, drunkenness, and the worries of life. And that day will spring up on you suddenly like a snare. For it will come upon all who dwell on the face of the earth. That's Luke chapter 21, verse 33 to 35. That's very important for us to understand. When we see warning like this, and when we notice how many of us, most of us, are so occupied with something that we don't even think about the times that has already been ordained and sanctioned to occur. We don't even think about it. Most of us have lost faith. Many people have just said, man, I'm just tired of all this. All of my expectations weren't met as far as the prophecies are concerned. And so what's the point, man? I might as well just kick it and do my thing. But understand this. This is the warning that Yahushua gave us. Let me read this in the King James. It says, but take heed to yourselves, lest your heart be weighed down with carousing. That's the New King James. Let me go to the original King James. And take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your heart be overcharged with surfeiting and drunkenness and cares of this life, and so that day come upon you unawares. What he warned is we can be so wrapped up and tangled up, tied up in all sorts of activities in our lives that we don't know how close that day is. And I believe, just like Daniel told us, that the Father, he has the power to give the kingdom over to whomever. And these Gentiles been living a beautiful life for a long time. And I feel like they don't think anything can really happen to them, especially with Trump. And this time I truly believe that something is about to occur. And so I just want to reiterate to all the fam, stop, take a deep breath, and observe, look around you, and look at your surroundings and start making preparations, because you don't know. Now, I see there are camps out there, and you have people that's Got people going out to the wilderness or going out and think they're going to preserve themselves by selling their possessions and giving it to one man. I'm telling you, that's not good either. Let me go to Matthew. Let's look at Matthew. And let's look at the 24th chapter. And let's go down to the 26th verse. Check this out. It say, wherefore, if they should say unto you, behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chamber, believe it not. For as the lightning cometh out of the east, and shineth even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For wherever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together. That reminds me of those birds. Joshua, he explained it so beautifully. He was like, just like the birds gather around the dead carcass, so the signs in the earth will be gathered around where all can see. Just like when you look up and they say eagles, but I truly believe Joshua was referring to vultures. When you see the vultures in the air, and buzzards, something is dead and they about to swoop down. And so just like the dead body, we have come to a point in time where the death of this whole society is laying along and about all over the region. And the buzzards and the vultures are hovering over. We just don't see it. We're just not aware because we are overcharged. We're surfeiting. And so I just want to remind you with these words of exhortation to take a moment, stop what you're doing, look around and start examining yourselves, because we are in some serious times, the time of our liberation. But this time would not be a pleasant time. This would be a time of trial. And so I didn't want to get into no deep study. I just wanted to bring what this is, words of exhortation. Let me read a little bit more. Let's look at verse 29. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars fall from heaven, and the powers of the heaven shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. This is very important for us to realize, because we have witnessed the sun being darkened. We witnessed the moon not giving her light. That happened just last year, 2019 in January. The moon we witnessed a blood moon, and it was a triad. It was several blood moons. We have seen the evidence and the signs all around. It's not going to be the way we think. But here is a very important footnote that Joshua put in the scripture. You say, now learn the parable of the fig tree when its branch is yet tender and putteth forth leaves. You know that summer is nigh. So likewise, ye, when ye shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the doors. Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away. This generation, the generation that witnessed all of the signs in the heavens and witnessed the eagles and all of creation gathering around, and the evidence is right before us. He say that generation, it won't pass. And so it's upon us, brothers and sisters. Let me read a little bit more. Verse 36. But of that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving into marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Then shall two be in the field, and one shall be taken, and the other left. Two women shall be grinding at the mill, and one shall be taken and the other left. You see that? But he's talking about in this day, just like in Noah. But in this day, there will be people going into judgment swiftly, right before your eyes. You walk in one going into judgment and you left. What's going on? I believe these days are upon us. I believe the 400 years have been completed. The 400 years has come to its completion. People are more arrogant than ever before. Gentiles, they're off the chain. Hebrew Israelites are too. The Gentiles, you can't even drive down the street. One day I was driving along out of my neighborhood, and I made a left turn into the boulevard, and I was in the lane, the outer lane. And when I turned onto the boulevard, I was in the left lane next to the middle. And it was Gentile was in the other lane. He was in the right lane. And he was about 3 cars behind, lagging behind. So I put on my turn signal to get in the right lane from the left to the right. He almost burnt his engine out trying to speed up so that I wouldn't get over in front of him. And I was getting over to make a right turn into this parking lot. He revved up and he almost hit the person in front of him, trying to prevent me from getting over. He got confused then because he forgot that he was going in the same parking lot. So he turned real swiftly and almost ran me over, trying to get in the other part, get in the same lane that I finally got in. After he passed, I went over, then he jumped in front of me. Just foolishness. When all he had to do was just maintain the speed that he was going. And I would have went over and got on over, when I went into the right lane and got on over into the other turning lane, and he could have got over, and it would have been a smooth transition. No one would have had to put on brakes. But these people are mad. One time I was getting off the highway and I was driving, and this man, he was mad because I wasn't driving fast enough. It was raining. And so I wasn't just going to I'm driving down the highway and getting off the ramp, and he want me to just zoom off the ramp onto the outer, service road. And, I wouldn't do it. And so once he got on the service road, he got in the right lane, because I went on it to the left. He got in the right, he zoomed by. And, I ain't doing nothing. I'm just driving. But you know what this clown did? As I was driving and I came up, because he drove on up and he had to stop, and I was coming up, alongside. And what he did, he got over acting like he was trying to get over into the left lane and acting like he didn't see me, trying to run me off the road. I started to, do a little shoving myself, but I didn't do it. I just moved over. And he was trying to, and then I found myself, I saw that I was about to drive into the median. And and then right when I got really upset and I was getting ready to just, start to bang his car, he got over. And then, I slowed down and I stopped and I look, and he looking the other way. And you could see that spirit on him. That's a vulture. Vultures are all around, brothers and sisters. When you see these vultures, understand the end is near. The end of their rule, not the end of the world, the end of their rule. And this assassination that took place, or murder, or whatever you want to call it, this has triggered something that I believe will be pretty grave. And we about to see some dark days. I truly believe that. And so that's why I wanted to talk about this. Look at verse 42. Watch therefore, for ye know not what hour your master doth come. But know this, that if the good man of the house had known in what watch the thief would come, he would have watched, and would not have suffered his house to be broken up. Therefore, be ye also ready, for in such an hour as ye think not, the Son of Man cometh. Which is why I say, get ready, stay ready. Preparation is still the order of the day. Verse 45, who then is that faithful and wise servant, whom his master hath made ruler over his household, to give them meat in due season? Blessed is that servant whom his master, when he cometh, shall find so doing. Verily I say unto you, that he shall make him ruler over all his goods. And if that evil servant shall say in his heart, my master delay is coming, and shall begin to smite his fellow servants, and to eat and drink with the drunken, the master of that servant shall come in a day when he looketh not for him, and in an hour that he is not aware, and shall cut him asunder, and appoint him his portion with the hypocrites. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Brothers and sisters, you know what to do. I don't need to go in a long dissertation on all the things that need to be done. You know what to do. We've been given a wealth of information, more than enough information. It's just time to do it. Plain and simple. Prepare yourself, because if they attack the water, will you be prepared? If they attack the electrical grid, will you be prepared? And like I was getting ready to say, going to a camp, giving your money to a minister, all you doing is making that person master. And Joshua said, there's no one can be master over you. He's the one. We got to wait on him. We can't save ourselves by thinking we're going to go to some utopia that somebody have carved out in the midst of the land of the enemies. What kind of sense does that make? You still in the land of your enemies. And how you know these people are not agents? You got to trust the Father. You got to trust him, I'm telling you. You go trusting everyone, you end up in the worst predicament than you would have been in if you just waited on the Father and trusted in him. So don't try to do the Father no favor. Don't try to do the Father no favors. Wait on him. And the Messiah will take care of you if you do what he said. Let him find you doing the work that you know that you should be doing. All right. That's all. Sarah and D, also known as Vermont. Shalom.